Former President Trump's Super PAC is joining TikTok. Trump's main political action committee, Make America Great Again, said on X that they joined the platform to reach millions of voters and expose Biden. Ironically, Trump tried to ban the Chinese-owned app when in office in 2020, but Trump has since switched his stance, saying without TikTok, Facebook would be bigger and young people would go crazy. The account's first post goes after President Biden. Let's watch.
Your budget set, you may need to rethink it. Joe Biden hinted at a big shift. Those 2017 tax cuts, they're on the chopping block if he gets a second term. Now, he's tried to cover himself by promising no tax hikes for those making under $400K, but here's the catch. Letting these cuts expire could push a typical family's taxes up by $1,500.
One other post attacks RFK Jr. for previously endorsing Hillary Clinton and supporting Obama.
But Trump won't have time for TikTok today as he sits in a New York courtroom for his hush money trial. Stormy Daniels returned to the stand for cross-examination, revealing details surrounding the circumstances of what she says was a one-night stand with Trump in 2006. Trump's attorney questioned Daniels today on if she wanted to make money off the story. Daniels said she wanted to sell her story to, quote, get the truth out, but that an NDA was a better alternative because, quote, I wanted the truth to be printed with some paper trail, and it would avoid putting a target on my back and my family's.
The defense also made an effort to paint Daniels as inconsistent and untrustworthy. For instance, the defense disputed Daniels' prior testimony in which she said she hated the slogan for her 2018 tour of strip clubs called Make America Horny Again. The defense attorney then showed Daniels 2 Instagram posts from her that used this very slogan. It's another example. Trump's attorney questioned Daniels' prior testimony, asking her whether she was really that upset that she blacked out after seeing Trump in her hotel room in 2006, to which Daniels responded, quote, when you are not expecting a man twice your age in his underwear, absolutely. First, on the TikTok front, I don't know how much, Biden has actually banned TikTok or is threatening to ban TikTok if ByteDance doesn't sell it. And as far as I can tell, the Biden campaign is active on the platform. This is par for the course for many political figures in both parties who are using the platforms that they're constantly inveighing against. I know, I remember Josh Hawley tweeting about how much Facebook is a monopoly or something. He's using its main platform rival wall to do that. So I think there's a lot of inconsistencies in how people who are very critical of the platforms continue to use them, which doesn't mean they should be beyond criticism, but sometimes.
Sure. I think it's interesting to be prioritizing a focus on the Trump tax cuts, which, got criticized by a lot of budget hawks for adding $1.7 trillion to the deficit at the same time that it overwhelmingly disproportionately helped the rich and the people who donated to, substantially to Donald Trump's campaign, as opposed to the poor and working class that it's being pitched to in a format like TikTok. Remember, households with incomes in the top 1% received a tax cut of more than $60,000, or projected into 2025 will receive an average cut of $60,000 compared to an average of less than $500 for households in the bottom 60%. As a share of after-tax income for households in the top 1% and the top 5%, they get more than triple the total value of the tax cuts received by people with incomes in the bottom 60%. So to take to a populist platform with a populist message as to why you should vote for Trump and say, hey, can I give you $500 so you agree that millionaires and billionaires get a $60,000 tax cut? Is this the kind of gamble that you want to make at the same time that we're driving up a deficit that we're going to use to justify to cut Social Security and things that you actually do benefit down the line? I'm not sure that's a strategy that I would take on, especially on TikTok, but hey, let's see how the kids respond.
Well, on to Stormy Daniels. More from her today. What did you make of that?
Yeah, she's in a tough spot. Look, it seems obviously the case that, you have mixed feelings. You are engaged in, sex work of a sort. You have maybe mixed feelings about that. You don't like the fact that you're having sex with someone who is much older than you and that you don't find attractive, but you obviously, this is a business and there's gains for trade here. And to pretend that there aren't upsides to it, that's why you're doing it, in fact. I don't think that's an indictment. That's what the industry is. And, I think she needs to figure out how to be honest about that.
We're all doing jobs we don't want to do for some advantage in some sense.
Isn't that the truth? But she has to figure out how to message that without seeming like she is a liar, because there is a kind of inconsistency that is very relatable in that. You do things that you don't want to do because there's an upside, but you cannot deny the upside. At the same time, people who are trying to smear her by acknowledging or pointing to the upside, that's not really an argument against the fundamentals here, which is that this event is alleged to have taken place. It is not just embarrassing for Stormy Daniels. The point here is that it's embarrassing for Donald Trump.
Right.
Embarrassing for Donald Trump, not just because he was engaged in this activity, but because he was married at the time, he was cheating on his wife, and that he's the one who, when deciding to run for president, thought this would be sufficiently a significant enough moral stain on him that he coordinated to pay a media organization to buy and kill this story,
despite
so the public would never know about
it. As emerged from the testimony with the National Enquirer owner, Trump believing correctly that never works and this stuff always comes out anyway. I think having been presumed to have a more blasé attitude about it, and the National Enquirer guy wanting to really proactively help Trump and crush these stories. Obviously, it did come out anyway. Right. The embarrassment to Trump, the affair, the encounter having actually happened, not being the legal matter. The legal matter is whether the fact that it was a campaign, whether it counts as a campaign expense, and Trump is on the hook for not reporting that correctly, is the actual issue, which is not a sexy or salacious issue whatsoever. But here we are. Yeah,
someone for whom a $130,000 payout, which is what we're talking about here, was like substantial and life-changing. Yes, you were going to try to milk this with a tour, Make America Horny Again. Of course she's going to. What else do you expect someone to do? She's not exactly in the position to sit back and turn away money. I don't know that that's particularly damning or what I'm supposed to take away from that. The only question that seems really material here is, did this take place? I don't see anybody really disputing the fact of it. Yeah. And was there a payoff? Again, I don't think there's any dispute about the fact of that, but was the payoff recorded in a way that was illegal and which Donald Trump directed and can be accountable.
Right. And that's independent of whether, I am not doubting that this encounter happened, to be clear.
No one seems to be.
The payout is the problem, right? He could have made a payment to her because it was a threat to say something that happened that didn't happen. And if the payment was made and not reported correctly, that is the crime. Now, a lot of people find that to be kind of maybe a trivial crime, maybe not something to be bringing a former president to criminal trial for the first time.
Right.
Definitely not a war crime, not even a tried to obstruct the election crime, just a campaign finance violation that I know some legal experts have argued would have been a misdemeanor in other contexts. We've heard a lot of those arguments, so this is why this seems trivial to some people.
Yeah, although from an optics perspective, I do think that maybe Democrats have hit on something with this one. Obviously, nothing should be partisan, blah, 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 but let's just be realistic here. The fact of the matter is that now we're getting all of this testimony about Donald Trump and his tighty whities and what does it look like when a man twice your age is there in a bed in a hotel room in this kind of salacious situation, and he likes to be spanked, and this is now the discourse nonstop on cable news, and is that going to filter over to people who maybe were on the fence and thought, well, I got to stick it to Biden, but who frankly just can't bring themselves, evangelicals and the like, to pull the trigger for somebody who would engage in this kind of activity.
I don't think it matters that much, but every hour he spends in that courtroom instead of out on the campaign trail doing rallies is a huge cost, I think, to his campaign. Now, he's speaking from the courtroom. He's doing these videos. He's still weighing in. I don't think it's the same as being in the swing states, courting the working class voters that he won to his side in 2016 that made the difference in Michigan, Pennsylvania, et cetera. He's bogged down by this trial. He's tired. He's exhausted from it. We keep getting reports of him maybe falling asleep or which is not an indictment necessarily of his physical fitness. It can be boring to be in court, just like it's boring to be in a class if you're a kid or something.
Sure, could be a lot of things.
But he's not doing what he wants to be able to do and what would best serve his campaign, which is being out there doing rallies.
Yeah, for sure.
More Rising right after this.